Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Starting out a little late, got lost in time doing my homework. I don't know why. I decided I'm going to get an A. I want to try to get an A plus, and then hopefully RJ will pop back on here or come on. But you know, studying Zebulon Pike and his two expeditions around the time of Lewis and Clark, it just brought me into that age of discovery, our manifest destiny, you know, whether it's England and their fake Protestant church, Anglican, whatever they got going with that, or Portugal, or Spain, France, Roman Catholic, and they're all colonizing us, and they have Rome at the middle. So does Rome really care who wins? And they pit all of these things. Did you know that the reason Aaron Burr killed Hamilton is that they think he was swindling money because he was going to start his own country in what they now call West Texas? The Republic of Texas was fairly small compared to what the state of Texas is today. Much to go over. I couldn't believe it. Wait until you see it. I got a disclaimer to show. Shown disclaimer. Oops. Oh, man. Good job, Paco. Trying to adjust my microphone, and I just knocked a string of licorice off the table that we'll have to deal with later. Nobody likes those type of unfun things. I just took a publicity photo. I don't like it. Right before I had a couple of minutes, I was going to, what are the other mud flooders talking about tonight? Restless orbit. The ex-college professor, he always is just tearing it up. This is Omaha. Very suspicious. Oh, I think it got mud flooded. You know what? I had a bunch of tabs pulled up, and this was only this is less than an hour old, I think. They're cleaning up Omaha, and I have been recently, have I not, been talking about electric cars and some cars, and it's suspicious, and that one steam car when 127 miles an hour held the land speed record. This is a chain from an electric engine. Motor, engine. Way to go. And that doesn't look too suspicious. I can't read the name. They don't give too many details, just a very ominous. I'm going to call it ominous. But is that a crank to start it? Who knows? It could be a combustion engine, but that chain, that's electric. Sounds electric to me, but I've been wrong before. This is a different view. You can see the other side of the street was super high too. Here you can see part of this train digger, I think is what it does. It scrapes the side of the wall or something. And then I showed you what I think is electric, but now I'm confused because isn't that what they use to crank start them? So I don't know. But that's Very unusual. They're a part of the train. Ooh, that's a weird one. Look at that. That guy, Jared Boosters, and this guy, they show a lot of cool stuff. I know this guy here is not a flat earther. Sketchy? I think so. But man, they just keep kicking out the videos with the great pictures of like, look, it's fake. Hey, it's fake. I get it. It's fake. That must mean that's fake too. I think those trains can, if they're going to keep a house, they can smooth the dirt until they fix it later or something, because that's remarkably smooth. Look at, she doesn't mind. She just tells, here's Mama, and she tells little sweetie pie, don't go too close to the straight off drop. Please don't go too close to, don't crawl under the fence. The Argentine-born Jorge Maria Borgologio brought a breath of fresh air into the 2,000-year-old institution. Liars that had seen its influence wane during the troubled tenure of Pope Benedict XVI, boo, whose surprise resignation led to Francis's election. But Francis was soon, he invited troubles of his own, and conservatives grew increasingly upset as Pope Francis, not recently deceased, he upset them with his progressive bent, his outreach to the lesbians, his outreach to the gays, his outreach to the bisexuals, his outreach to the transsexuals, his outreach to QAnon. No, wait, that's queers. And plus whatever else they got. His outreach, if you're a Catholic and you would fall into those categories, he was reaching out to you. He was cracking down on traditionalists. His greatest test came in 2018 when he botched a notorious case of clergy sexual abuse in Chile. Botching it means he didn't fire him and said he couldn't find any proof. And then later on, they found the proof and he said, oh, wow, he is a pedophile. That scandal continues to fester. Hey, that's your thumbnail. I thought it was bigger and better. Gonna fly now. That's my flag. Yeah. Look, Jared Boosters and these pictures, right? You should Google this thing. The Clifton Suspension Bridge. It's a lie. There's no way they built this in 1840 in the middle of nowhere over the Avon River. Not Stratford on Avon. You guys been studying the Francis Bacon stuff too much. So they got construction photos there. They found it. That's what they like to say. They found it all right because it was found that way. They're the founders. Another photograph while he was doing his. That's a chain. That's what they called it. Cast iron linked together with other cast iron chains. They put up the chains first and then built the bottom. I think they did build something. Somebody had to fix it. I had another meeting with. I did have a meeting.
Were you and was Afton there as your counselor, or was she just there as an administrator?
She was just there as an administrator, I'm pretty sure. Now, how did I get that to?
Once I get the emails, I will reach back out and set another follow-up for us, okay?
Okay, and as I read more and more about disabled veterans and how the schools are supposed to reach out and help them. I have them because I think.
So this was part of my day.
Are they doing this to veterans that are disabled? That's because the VA is looking into this too. There's a lot of people looking into it. I only want people to be like, gee whiz, Mr. Hughes, you sure have been patient.
Because I
So
have
you
been.
contacted the VA, like who is that person?
Misty Staub.
STAR?
STAUB.
UB, oh, okay, Misty.
I'll forward you her information
Thank you.
because she has all of the emails and everything too. And she's the one that basically, without them, I'd be out in the cold in December. Because that's how much they care about veterans here.
Yep.
So.
You know, you whoa. Hey, look, it says Moore brow. Like he's a Moore. I guess I was looking at what else was going on in the 1830s when they were building those fancy bridges over there in England. And I was looking at some electric vehicles. See, you got chains on them. Look at this thing. It was for sale. It's electric. 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer, 4-wheel brake. Wow. Okay. Ask the Teamsters who take a 5-ton load for 6 horses on the hill and go past them on any and all grades, standing still, just the same electric drive, but has a 45 horsepower gasoline engine and a dynamo instead of storage battery. So as of 1927, you could still get your choice, electric or the less efficient polluter. See what I mean? That's electric. This is electric. That's a 1907 electric truck. It looked familiar. I'm not going to go back and make you look at it again. Remember, am I showing the pictures? Here, because I want you to remember back in 2016, when it was like really just me, Philip DeRizian, and Martin Leakey, and Wise Up. He's always been there. And I don't want to say it like that. He's come up with some things that are very interesting. But we were there, and some others that aren't even around anymore. And these pictures, we used to be able to get people to watch, because I had a lot more viewers when I was Flat Earth Nation Golden Age past, before I mentioned ivermectin. I guess it's okay now, but we could get views by going, look at these people in the 1920s on the beach. Didn't they even know about beach towels? Nobody had beach towels. So I thought I'd remind you of that and show you some pictures of that. Where are they? Here's one. Did I only take one? Oh, well, you could see it. Where's the towels? We would ask. They're just playing in the sand, and what you see as a towel is not a towel. This is part of their bathing suit. They just sat in the sand. Nobody had the market for towels. What are you guys doing? This is a white man's beach. It's like looking in a mirror. That helical heart thing, that's not going away. That's not going to go away. Let's see what we got. Yeah. You can't keep up. You don't have to keep up, man. I just have to be productive, make use of my time, you know. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't think it'd be as much easy as here. People talking about the Pope died, and so here's some convoluted ideas.
7 years later, around 2020 roughly, was when the Texas rancher had specifically bred these red cows and came up with 5 candidates that then have to make it to 3 years old without any blemishes to be eligible for the sacrifice. And that was around October 15th, 2023. So I'd say this could be prophecy, but I can also easily say that it was planned out that way according to the
Oh
movie.
yeah.
But it's definitely interesting that both of these events have happened right around the same time here. So I guess we need to be watching out for Peter the Roman. The final
Whoever that is. And what we have to watch out for are people will be coming out of the woodwork talking about, oh, but JFK was a good Catholic. Whenever they pick Catholics, they switch the propaganda to be, well, they've always been around. They're here, they're there. They've had some problems. Maybe some fresh pope will help them out. It never works out. They're all covering secret society, pizza party, pizza gate. 1906, Rio Mountaineer went from New York to San Francisco and back in an electric car. Pretty sure that all these Rios, I think they were electric, but then again, they were the fastest of their time, but I couldn't really get enough information about it. I think they're trying to downplay and act like electric cars are new, but they are not. I did find out they did make electric and combustion, but this was kind of a bust, you know. Here they just don't mention until it gets in, you know, these are they combustion or not? But the guy had the unfortunate thing of being named Olds, not like Oldsmobile, so he had to name it R.E. Olds, entrepreneur who founded multiple companies. I thought for sure they looked like they were electric, but there is precious little about it. Same with, you know, with all these cars. I don't see a crank on that one. Now that probably is a big V8. But even the leather seating and things, it's just a different world. Let's see, I want to get to the stuff about the age of discovery but I can't get away from these things here. Here's where this is how he presents.
And it's gone through many different iterations. Yes, a high school with a smokestack and very impressive pediment on it. And you can see how quickly they retrograde or the grading project completed on it, and then they established grounds around it. They even have a more recent addition that seems to be built in the hill. So I thought they were regrading everything and leveling it off, but maybe they didn't do it on the school. Oh, yes, look at this pediment here. Nothing says Omaha, Nebraska, and United States 1800s, 1900s aside from these images that seem to display the pantheon of Greek and Roman deities to be questioned. Here we have this image after the second exposition in Omaha, Nebraska, where they tore down the structures from the
It tore it down.
Greater America exposition, or was it the Trans Mississippi exposition? Always seems to be a bit of a hand wave. When exactly is this image from? Because a lot of these images, even from the Nebraska Historical Society, are a little undated, or they have a circa date assigned to them. Is this from the early 1900s? Is this from the 19 teens, the 1920s? What kind of machinery are they using? Well, in the images, we tend to see some very rudimentary steam-driven excavators, as we understand it. And if these machines were so effective and as capable of moving as the earlier courthouse, and then it was replaced, it was certainly in the same location. Was it in the same location?
Look at that.
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers. They really glorify Lewis and Clark.
Itself, because why not? a very impressive theater that needs to be very elaborately decorated on the inside. And near Sioux City, we have the Floyd Monument, named after Sergeant Floyd, a non commissioned officer, who has a very elaborate obelisk monument that's dedicated to him. Now, we've looked at
Sure.
this before in previous explorations, and here's some wide image shots to give you an idea about it. Now, it may not seem that impressive, especially when compared to the Washington Monument, but it was constructed in 1900 to 1901 by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Wow. Good job, you guys. That Army Corps. Something about Taipei thought made me think you'd be interested in some of the pictures of Taipei. As much as we covered China and the war and Chiang Kai-shek, how they end up with Mao Zedong in charge. And was it ever really the primitive? Were there ever primitive Chinese? I know they tried to make it look like it, but Taipei, and this is where the loser had to flee to. Everything's the same. Wow, show off your buildings much? Or sporting, everything, the same buildings, all retrofitted to feed us lies that are keeping the wide road from Jesus. We know some of our responsibilities, but we need corporate Bible study to get addicted to it so that we can find out what type, how do we come out from her? We know they found a way. Look at the yay, 1960, Chiang Kai-shek. He was the United States ally in World War II, and he was supposed to take over China, but oops, the communists did it. Satan's plan. Oh, they really built that in China? That wasn't all part of an old world? Come on. That was the building that, I wanted to look on the inside of it, get precious few, views of the inside of that building in Taipei. I wanted to see the inside. I even put President Building inside. You'd think they'd show some, but no. It's the same as everything else. I'm sure they built this in 1830 in Taiwan too. I did find out that the winner that designed it was one of those guys that he won a contest. A little bit of damage during the Allied bombing. Here's the guy. During the Japanese rule, which was 50 years. They give Japan credit for building everything. Okay. He was selected in 1910. Typical. Oh, man. So I did look up that bridge. It is crazy. They're saying this is a construction photo. Looks like they're working on it somewhere. These guys are working on it. No, they're not. There's a cave down there, part of the construction, maybe. Some people are more impressed by it than others. But they did get it done. See, that's the chain. I think they show a picture of the chain. We'll get out of here after that. You got to see the chain. That's casting it, I think they did this. And then they built it on the old towers. But we know that they can cast iron. We know they used bolts and rivets, and we can kind of get an idea of when they changed that. But how annoying would that be every time you want to go on the bridge? We're going to come back to the Bible. I just want to close out. So the history of electric vehicles, first invented in 1820. Electric vehicles have been around that long. Practical, commercial, affordable electric cars appeared in 1890. Practical, affordable, commercially available? Set the land speed record, held the land speed record, it says until around 1900. No, I looked up those land speed records. They quit having them after this thing broke the speed of sound. The 1898, it says it broke a speed record around 1900. Right, and kept it. 1898, 1899, 1899, 99, 99, 99, 902. Watch out. There's a steamer. Okay. So I guess I was counting steamer as the 1902 because then there was an internal combustion. And then in 1906, steam again. And it didn't just break the record of the internal combustion, it did it in a clean, efficient way from 17 miles an hour faster. And it took them 9 more years to smash that record. But I'm thinking they could have done it. There's electric cars out there. Pope Benedict, he died. He's got the one with the Moor and the bear. Bavaria. There you go. Yikes. Yow. What's this? Who's that girl? No, I'm just kidding. I know they think that's supposed to be the Lord, but this is just blasphemous. Look, he did it. He resigned because there was too much pedophilia, so he just quit. Nobody was ever supposed to just quit, but he did. He quit. He said, I can't stand paying out billions every year I'm worn out. I'm just worn out. He died in 2000. Let's see. His election as Pope occurred in 2005. That followed this guy that they thought was so good, but they kind of look the same. Upon his resignation, Benedict chose to be known as Pope Emeritus. And he retained this title until his death in 2022. He's from the native Bavaria. Is that Germany? The Free State of Germany is a state in the southeast of Germany. It's not part of Germany. In 1951, it wasn't part of Germany. He embarked on an academic career. Okay. An unusual promotion with someone with little pastoral experience. He was made cardinal. He was set up. Okay. He resigned, announcing a lack of strength of mind and body due to his advanced age. And yet he lived another 9 years, and they're not supposed to resign All right, so Pope Benedict, the coat of arms of his Pope Benedict 16, after he got elected, set up by his friend John Paul II, it has the Moor head on the blazon, the red shield mantled in gold with a gold scallop shell. The right part of the mantle has the head of a Moor in her natural color brown, wearing a red crown and red collar. The left part of the mantle has a walking bear in its natural color brown, carrying a red pack tied with black bands. Okay. So the scallop shell, pilgrim shaft, Jacob shaft, the Moor's head. This is also fake. They say the Moor's head, the blackamoor, was a very popular thing. Heraldic symbol, subject of controversy. I can't imagine why. A lot of people used it, including symbolizing Peter I of Aragon and Pamplona's victory over Moorish kings, plural, of the Zaragoza and the Battle of Alcorza, right around, come on. We don't believe in their Middle Ages and their nonsense. It's how they rewrite history and is in one of Golden Age past's videos, anytime you see a black, it's St. Maurice. You know what? Maybe we'll look at some of the pictures and see how many different ways they style St. Maurice. Oh, there he is. Okay, he's white in that one. Oh, there he is, white. There he is, black, but not anything like the first black one. Little bit medieval, right? 17th century. Now he's white. I don't want to say. Here he is. Here he is. Oh no, it's the martyrdom. Is that him? White, stabbed in the back? Way to go, you guys, you big murdering fiends. White, black. That was made to last right there. City of Coburg's coat of arms. Gonna fly now. Yeah, I'm flying. White again, black again. So this is one of those things. This is the bear. I guess it's a famous bear eating donkey. The disgraced quitting pope who set up the Roman Catholic Jesuit pope. Of course, he's Roman Catholic. That's redundant. He loved his coat of arms. Young man deciding, where should I do with my fate? Oh, it's the Starfort City. So fake. There's the straps, but they have white bands on this one. Pope 16 had black bands on his red band. Well, that's white pack. Where did I see the white pack? The scallop, what an amazingly long Wikipedia page for a scallop, until it finally does mention why they would do that. on their coat of arms in fake Christianity, Rome, I mean. Alternatively, the scallop represents the setting sun, which was the focus of the pre-Christian Celtic rituals in the area. I can see they would always want to do that. No citation. To wit, the pre-Christian roots of the Way of St. James was a Celtic death journey westward toward the sun, terminating at the end of the world on the coast of death, Costa de Morte, and the Sea of Darkness. Huh. Well, you know, the Pope had to have a coat of arms, I guess. So Pikes Peak, finally, right? He's studying all of this stuff. He got sent out by Thomas Jefferson. Oh no, who's going to win? Portugal, France, Spain. They're all Roman Catholic. And the Phrygian Cap, Jacobians, Hellfire Club, Illuminatis, they're all answering to the same God that convinced a man, okay, I'll be the Pope and pretend that when I speak, I'm the vicar of Christ. So not normal. So that's the history of Zebulon Pike. Here's the guy that betrayed him. An American Army officer, politician, associated multiple scandals during his life. We'll look at the Burr controversy. You know what? I had never known that there was, you know, I knew that he killed Hamilton and I thought it was over banking, but it was a treasonous plot to have been planned by American politician and former military officer in the years during his single term as the third vice president for Thomas Jefferson. Right? Washington, Quincy Adams, Thomas Jefferson. I don't know. But look at these guys, you know, he ended up 4 decades later, archival research in the Capitol, you know, found documents. You did it. Highly paid foreign agent and spy. Wow. Well, how come we know about Benedict Arnold, but according to President Roosevelt, James Wilkerson, in all our history, there is no more a despicable character. He set up, I believe, the Zebulon Pike. And once again, he's one of these people that, you know, they're set up in life. They got the slaves, they got it going on. They want it, and they want more money. And it was a time where I think, you know, they were pretending to be spiritual, that's for sure. So in short video, we got to keep it short. It's what I've been studying today, what I've been writing about. Not much, 850 words, but there are 5 Chicago-style footnotes. So it's a serious peer-reviewable paper so far. Burr conspiracy. Let's take it back to the beginning. I probably had it set up for something interesting. So he did 2 trips, Zebulon Pike did, between these times. And at the same time, there was a treasonous plot alleged to have been planned by the vice president in the first term of the Thomas Jefferson. Burr, accused of attempting to use his international connections and support from a cartel or cabal, American planners, get them on board, the army officers, to establish an independent country south of Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. I heard it was going to be all of Texas, even more, all of this and Texas, and the future federal territories of later Mississippi territory, adjacent to Alabama territory, and east of the Mississippi River and north of the southern coast along the Gulf of Mexico, or to invade and conquer the newly acquired Louisiana Purchase. That's what I think. West of the Mississippi, later organized as the Louisiana Purchase. They wanted to have their own country and they missed out. I think we should have been taught about that. Come on. Then divided it into future 18th state of Louisiana, upper and northern portions of Missouri, plotting against the northern parts of colonial New Spain. Rome still wins. Mexico got it. Rome still wins. Or by seizing Florida, which had 2 colonies. Spanish Florida consisted of 2 colonies. And in 1776, the United States had 15 colonies. 13 decided to break off and rebel. 1 stayed with Spain, and I believe West Florida decided to hook up with England. And that's why they needed to go back and, fight New Orleans again. It's all so convoluted, but the United States was founded to make money. Contracts with the British. Burr persuaded Thomas Jefferson to appoint Wilkerson, who chose, handpicked, and pretended to love Zebulon Pike. But it was a setup. The hard luck explorer. Nothing that Zebulon Montgomery Pike ever tried to do was easy, and most of his luck was bad. Wow. And when the guy that sent him to explore sent him when he was resting up for the second part after he found the headwater of the Mississippi or something, he said in a letter to a Captain Daniel Bissell, for those men have served with me many a long year, and notwithstanding they are such damned rascals that you could not keep no duck or fowl for them. Yet I think them very clever people. This is on returning from the Mississippi part of the expedition. In another letter, his men he described as being perfectly capable of getting the job done, but all in all, a set of damned rascals. So damned rascals was his preferred term. They sent him out, they picked a guy that didn't have the best education. He said he lamented his lack of formal education. He carried books into the wilderness. It was a scientific expedition. And the Spanish captured him because James Wilkerson told them, go look right outside Alamosa. That's where he'll be. So that's where they caught him. Where does it talk about the rest? He visited the sand dunes here. He died in 1812 in another war. He's still trying to be famous. Wow. The expedition returned to St. Louis in April 30th. Pike's second edition was distinguished, designed to accomplish several goals, include providing an escort for 51 Osage Indians ransomed from the Potawatomi tribe and a delegation of Pawnees, Osage, and Otos returning from a trip to see President Jefferson, who I'm sure he promised them everything's going to be okay before they sent him blankets, and they all died. Wherever they are now, There ain't nearly as many as there could be if we would have left them alone. Pike was also to contact the Comanches, explore the headwaters of the Arkansas River like he did the Mississippi, proceed south, locate the source of the Red River, and descend it to the Mississippi. As with Lewis and Clark further north, Pike was to study the natural resources, subjects of scientific interest, and make maps with those damned rascals. And I'm sure they picked somebody that was going to try as hard as they could because the Spanish were paying them handsomely for this information. And that was in the collaboration with Aaron Burr. Yeah, it all ended up going down right here by the Alamosa. Well, that doesn't get any bigger, but you can see where he got captured was like right here, and we're right here. So it wasn't in Alamosa, it was outside Alamosa. But expeditions, well, we talked about his expedition. Now, the Red River was another one of Thomas Jefferson's thing. Here's a map from the Spanish camp where the exploring party of the United States was met by the Spanish troop to where it enters the Mississippi, 1806. Well, they knew about the Great Raft, that when they broke it up, it kind of messed up the flow of the Mississippi. Could be why Louisiana sold it. They knew the Mississippi wasn't going to do it. So they knew about that in 1806. So here's the Red River. I wanted to go see where, the last place. So Cato is a Native American tribe. Here's the Spanish camp. So they got stopped here. And they don't really show the borders. Let's see if they give us any more. No, only the one picture. But the Red River expedition, another one that Thomas Jefferson was in control of that I hadn't heard about. It was one of the first scientific civilian expeditions to explore the southwestern United States, 1906. Ordered to find the headwaters of the Red River. Convenient reset times all stacking up in favor of, mud flood was Armageddon. I think so. So many. I'm up to 4. Hoping confrontation for personal gain, United States General James Wilkerson of the Louisiana Territory had secretly notified Spain of the Freeman expedition and the Pike expedition. Wow. So they will also, what's this? The Dunbar Hunter thing? That had to be at the same time. Their motivation, a Scottish immigrant and scientist living in Natchez, Mississippi. Jefferson contacted, hey, we're just sending out Look, you ever hear of that one? They built a big old boat like it was a Chinese yacht. Hunter designed the boat as a Chinese style vessel. I wonder why. Maybe that's just the way it is. But without the Hunter Dunbar expedition, we would have never known anything about no microorganisms. No microbes? What's a microbe? I don't know. I'm glad they had the Dunbar Hunter. So we've covered this a lot, you know. It's all about new understanding of the heart, how the heart's crying out. You want to read papers by somebody? Paco, Francisco Paco Torrance Guas. That's why I call myself. He's the man that showed that the heart is not a pump. It's a rope, and it pulls and pump in a, I hate to say it, but a yin yang swastika, out with the bad, in with the good, like with your lungs, like with your blood, like your sanctification, like your life once, you know, once we're saved. They did this. They hid it from us. But Paco, Dr. Torrent Paco Guas, he figured it out. And the last tab, who's this guy? What is this war? Napoleon? A type of Napoleon? King of Portugal? Pedro? The soldier king? Founder and first ruler of the Empire of Brazil? He's their George Washington. Born in Lisbon. And it's royalty. Liberal revolution. Okay. He did it. He's, yeah, I bet you he's not related to anybody. You know, somehow he's a Habsburger. He's one of those. But we're going to let it go on that. There he was, dressed like a little girl. That's how they did it back then. So that's enough. Thank you for your time. And remember, and I want to wish you a happy birthday also, that dig, study, and you'll find it's always going to be a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. The mud flood was Armageddon. The wide road's not going to want to believe the Bible. That's up to you. If you're one called, two chosen, and three faithful, if you've heard his voice, you realize it's a burden. You realize you have to be yoked to it. But his yoke is easy, his burden is light, and it's worth it if you realize this is not your home. That happens when you realize that you're one called, two chosen, you can be faithful. That's what me and my friends always want to tell you. We have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakaman. Adios. Hasta luego.